Happy Halloween. So like I said in my last video, this is the one that's going to be a top 10. So every year for the past quarter century or so, the Simpsons have had a Treehouse of Horrors special. So I decided to do something for that sort of occasion since it is almost Halloween. And I also wanted to do something else. So my best friends growing up wrote an article talking about his own memories and recollections, and also his general thoughts on the Treehouse of Horrors in general. So I'm going to put a link to his article in the description box below, and please check it out, read it, and I hope you enjoy it. I liked it. He's my best friend when I was growing up, so I wanted to support him with that. So on to my own little top 10 Treehouse of Horrors special. Here we go. Number 10 is Treehouse of Horrors number 20. Now this was pretty good. It's definitely worth top 10, but just barely. The first one is not as good as some of the other stories that they've had. It's a kind of a Hitchcockian sort of story with Bart and Lisa agreeing to help each other out, but Bart takes it to an extreme and he wants Lisa to take it to his extreme, and it starts going crazy. But the ending definitely felt flat to me, and I wasn't really a fan of the way it was presented for the most part. But the second story definitely makes up for that because it's pretty fun to see a nice little zombie story, because they hadn't done one, I don't think, in quite some time after 3. So number 20 is when they finally went back to the zombie genre. Actually they do another zombie story, but I'll get to that later. So this one is a take on 28 Days Later. They even say 28 days later, after a tainted hamburger, Burger Squared as it was called, infects people with the muncher disease, and they go crazy and start eating people like zombies. And they find out that Bart is actually immune to the muncher disease, so they need to get him to a safe house, or a safe zone, so that he can make a cure for all the munchers. And it's kind of funny to see how people react to the munchers and the munchers themselves, because after the little time skip, it's kind of funny to see the munchers carrying Mo and getting ready to eat him. Mo doesn't care. He's just like this. And he tells them, "Hey, little tip, you might want to wash me before you eat me." And they go, "Oh, thank you." And Mo doesn't care. It's kind of funny to see Mo in those little situations just not caring. He's about to die. But the whole story is a lot of fun, I think. And the third story in this one is kind of cool because it's a whole stage production. It's a play about Mo trying to woo Marge after Homer has an accident and falls into Mo's brewery. Mo uses that as an opportunity to hook up with Marge, and it's kind of funny how they do real stage play stuff, like the scene moving around, the stage moving around to another scene, and you see Mo tripping up on the stage, the stagehands helping him out, and even putting wires when he's doing a dance number. Is kind of fun. And the ending's not a scary segment, but it's kind of nice, and the ending is just one of those awe moments. Not as bad as what Futurama has done to people, but it's just one of those things. So it's okay, but not as good as number 9, which is Treehouse of Horrors number 21. Yeah, a year later they did one that was a little bit better than this one. I liked it. The first one was kind of funny because it's a nice little take on Jumanji, of all things. Over a decade later they do a Jumanji parody. Kind of interesting because Marge doesn't want Bart and Milhouse playing video games because they're too violent, and those games had nothing on this stuff towards the end, trust me. And so she gives them a bunch of board games to play, and the one they choose is a Jumanji type game, and it takes all those board games and just brings them to life, and now people in town have to play these games in order to put them all back. And it's, in the ending segment, like I said, it's hilarious to me, and it is brutal. A lot more brutal than the video game in some aspects. So, second story isn't as good, I thought. With it was Homer and Marge at sea in a rent-a-boat, and they pick up an actual drifter drifting on a piece of wood, and after he tells them his story, they're starting not to trust him. Is he actually a killer? Is all this, all that? And the ending, kind of flat. It's divisive, I think. But I fall in the not really my cup of tea sort of thing. But the last story in this series, this episode, was definitely up my alley because it was hilarious. It was a Twilight parody. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the movies. Sorry about the car. I'm not a fan of the series. I'm not probably never gonna watch them. And it was just funny to see them get parodied in this episode, and with Lisa being the one to fall for the vampire. I don't even know what his name is, and it's kind of funny because his dad shows up as well. They have to make the vampire the same age as Lisa, so it's not a big creepy pedophile vibe. And it's kind of funny. The vampire dad, Homer, have little interactions as well, which are pretty cool. And apparently, you know how in our life, in our world, there's little Chinatown, little Tokyo, little Italy, in places like San Francisco, New York, and LA. Well, apparently Springfield has Dracula Land, a whole bunch of different vampires from different genres, and it was pretty cool to see. Hey, I recognize that one. I know that one. And there is a funny moment in this one with in Dracula Land. I laugh. I know I probably should have felt bad for laughing, but I don't. It was just too funny. And the ending is pretty funny as well with what Homer does in the end. And also, speaking of Homer, the opener on this one is fun too, with him and Bart checking the house for Halloween. Bart and Homer escalating the violence against each other little by little, and Dr. Fingers like, oh, if you don't want to watch your children watch this stomach training episode, click fast forward on your DVR remote. But yeah, the opener is fun, and other than the second story, definitely a fun little episode. Not as good as some of the episodes like number 8, which is 25, 4 years after this one got one that I thought deserved to be in the top 10. Last year's actually, but if you're watching this in the future, I don't know why, but hey, if you are, thanks. 25th Treehouse of Horrors starts off with Bart finally excelling in his studies by going to hell. Yes, hell school. This one is kind of an interesting one because having Bart actually succeed in school is kind of a nice twist, and it's kind of fun to see him actually enjoy going to school, and the way he gets there and him discovering how much he likes it, kind of fun. Unfortunately, because the episodes only have a certain amount of time for each of the 3 stories that are going to be told, it is kind of rushed, but it's fun. It's kind of fun. The second story, it's a parody of A Clockwork Orange, and called Clockwork Yellow. But I have to say, I was not a big fan of the second story. It was a little disappointing, but especially after coming the fun story of Bart going to hell, and then the 25th third story, which is The Others, which is a ghost story. And this was written about online about, the Simpsons are going to meet their past selves. It was kind of fun to see them interact with each other and have the old animation style when the old Simpsons would talk, because you have the mouth, the head part here, and then the mouth would do this, or the other way around, where the mouth, the lower mouth, the jaw would stay here, and the head would go the other way. And they are kind of faithful to that. It was kind of interesting to see their interactions with each other, and the ending was kind of cool because Lisa says, well, if there are 2 versions of The Simpsons, what if there are a bunch of other ones? And you see different types of animation styles. Because I know that one, I know that one, I don't know that one. I watched that one, I know I've never watched it. It's for me, it was fun to see that, and I enjoyed the third story of that one. It was cool. Number 7 on my list is Treehouse of Horrors number 14. This one is, I don't know how to say it. It's in the middle. I honestly could have switched 7 and 8, but this is the way I would put it. So number 7 starts off with Homer becoming Death. It starts off with Death coming for Bart. They do like a Benny Hill kind of segment, chase scene. I do enjoy comical chase scenes from like Scooby-Doo and things like that. So this is kind of fun for me to watch. And the way Homer gets convinced to be Death, it makes me laugh because like, oh yeah, that would get me to be Death too. So, and then his interaction with people as he's Death is fun. It's fun, I think. The second story has basically nothing to do with The Simpsons. It's about Dr. Frank and his dad. Dr. Frank is about to win the Nobel Prize and he wants his dad there, but his dad's dead, so he reanimates his body Frankenstein style. And then his dad's like, I don't like the way you brought me back. I'm going to do it my way. And he starts killing people and taking their body parts. And the whole ending is chaotic but fun. It definitely is something that I enjoyed, but it was kind of out of place in a sense because, wow, the story about Frank, but not really involving The Simpsons. But the last story in this one does involve The Simpsons. No, sorry, but back to Frank real quick. Is that Frank shows up every once in a while, and it's just kind of interesting to see him not be in the background and not be in the foreground, but I don't know, it just didn't work for me for some. It didn't work for me in a sense that the ending, I guess. Oh well. So the last story on the list is definitely a Simpsons story. It's Bart and Milhouse getting a watch, and it's a parody of a Twilight Zone episode. The ending isn't nearly as dark as the one in the Twilight Zone episode, but they do kind of reference it. And it's definitely the way a 10-year-old would use a stopwatch that can stop time and just goof off and do stupid stuff. But it's one of those things that it was kind of fun, and I enjoyed the ending. I enjoyed the way it was presented, I should say. And I liked it. Number 6 on my list is Treehouse of Horrors number 16. This one has hands down my favorite opener because it makes fun of the fact that baseball season always keeps on interrupting The Simpsons, especially at that time. It starts with Kang and Kodos watching the World Series playoffs and Kang going, oh, this is the most boring sport in all the universe. And them wanting to get the game over with so you can watch The Simpsons, because at this point there have been like 5 or 6 years that The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors got pushed well into November, like the second week or so in November, because of the MLB playoffs. So it's kind of fun to see. If we don't speed this game up, the Simpsons Halloween special won't air until Administrative Professionals Day. And it was kind of fun the way that they sped up the game and then kind of just destroyed everything in the process. And it was fun to me to watch. The first story in this one isn't as good. It's a parody of AI. I never watched it. I know what it's about, but the movie didn't really seem to grab my attention. And this sort of parody was okay, but that's about it. But the second story definitely makes up for it, because it's survival of the fattest. Homer and a bunch of people from Springfield get invited to Burns' estate. When then they say, "Oh, you're going to be a part of a hunting party," and then Burns said, "Oh, I'm hunting all of you." And the way that these deaths are done, they're gruesome in a funny way that you can't take them seriously. And there's a great line in the end by Terry Bradshaw voicing it. Yeah, Terry Bradshaw announcing the mayhem and slaughter. And it's kind of funny to see what he says at the end about how you can show a bunch of people getting killed, but you can't show somebody making love on TV even at like 10 o'clock at night. But hey, that's an editorial. I don't want to get into that. But he was funny when he said that. And the third story is kind of fun. The ending's looking back, I'm not really a fan of the ending, but it's definitely a story that's interesting, pretty cool, because a witch curses the people of town at a Halloween party that they become the costumes that they're wearing. And so just to see that sort of dynamic, what happens to the people during that time that they are their costumes, pretty cool. Unfortunately, like I said, because 3 stories, there's not a lot of time to really delve into any one story for long. But it was kind of fun. And like I said, the ending is so-so, but they can't all be winners. But it does, I think, deserve to be in the top 10. Just barely misses out top 5. Probably not barely, but it definitely misses top 5. Top 10, definitely. So, that's the first half of this list. Once again, please check out my friend's article I'm linked to in the description box. And what is your favorite Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors opening? Just the opening. Like I said, my favorite one is the number 16. So, until next time, which will be very soon after this video. Until next time, bye.